In recent times, the debate surrounding AI's intelligence and its potential to surpass human capabilities has taken center stage. Researchers and tech enthusiasts are engaged in a tug-of-war, presenting compelling evidence to support their contrasting viewpoints. One interesting aspect of this discussion is the performance of GPT-4, the advanced AI system behind Chat GPT and the Bing search engine, on a set of logic puzzles. In these puzzles, a series of brightly colored blocks arranged on the screen reveal connecting patterns that most people can readily spot. However, GPT-4 struggles, getting only around 1/3 of the puzzles right in one category and as little as 3% correct in another. This finding emerged from a report published by researchers in May. The team behind these logic puzzles seeks to establish a better benchmark for testing AI capabilities and address a puzzling aspect of large language models, LLMs, like GPT-4. LLMs have taken the AI world by storm in the past few years, exhibiting impressive abilities across various tasks, operating by generating plausible next words based on the statistical correlations in the vast amounts of text data. These models have dazzled with their autocomplete-like algorithm. For chatbots built on LLMs, human trainers provide extensive feedback to fine-tune the bot's responses, enhancing their conversational prowess. However, the broad range of capabilities displayed by LLMs sparks differing opinions among researchers about what's truly going on beneath the surface. Some attribute these achievements to glimmers of reasoning or understanding, while others, including cognitive scientist Tomer Ullman and computer scientist Melanie Mitchell, remain more cautious. The challenge lies in the absence of conclusive evidence supporting their viewpoint. As Ullman aptly puts it, there's no Geiger counter to determine whether intelligence is truly at play in LLMs. This divide among researchers calls for more comprehensive testing, such as the logic puzzles, to shed light on the distinctions between human and AI capabilities. These logic puzzles have emerged as a valuable tool in the ongoing debate surrounding AI's intelligence. They serve as benchmarks that offer critical insights into the differences between human and AI capabilities. Beyond theoretical understanding, these tests have a practical purpose, as emphasized by Brendan Lake, a cognitive computational scientist at New York University. Melanie Mitchell echoes this sentiment, stressing the need to comprehend the boundaries of LLMs' abilities. With AI systems like LLMs being increasingly applied in real-world domains such as medicine and law, understanding their limits becomes essential. Mitchell states, quote, "We have to understand what they can do and where they fail so that we can know how to use them in a safe manner," end quote. One famous test commonly used to assess this intelligence of AI is the Turing test. This test has been around since 1950 and was originally proposed by Alan Turing. Its purpose is to determine if a machine can display intelligent behavior similar to that of a human. Turing's original idea was called the imitation game, where human judges had text-based conversations with both hidden computers and unseen people, trying to detect which was the computer, essentially asking, "Can machines think?" What's truly fascinating is that if the judge can't distinguish between the computer and the human based on their responses, then the computer is considered to have passed the Turing test. The accuracy of the answers doesn't matter. What matters is how closely the machine's responses resemble those of a human. Although Turing did not specify many details about the scenario, it was not meant as a literal test to run on the machine. Instead, it was more of a thought experiment, as noted by Francois Chollet, a software engineer at Google. For several decades, the Loebner Prize, funded by Hugh Loebner, held an annual Turing test events where human judges engaged in text-based dialogues with machines and people, trying to determine which was which. However, these gatherings stopped in 2019 due to funding constraints. Nevertheless, the idea of leveraging language to assess machine intelligence remains essential in the field of artificial intelligence. Today, large language models would stand a good chance of fooling humans in such a contest, highlighting the progress made since the Turing test's inception. Some researchers are saying that modern AIs like GPT-4 and other large language models might be able to pass the Turing test now. They can apparently trick many people during short conversations. In fact, there was this online game based on the Turing test that over 1.5 million people played in May. They had to chat with either another player or an AI-powered bot designed to act like a human. Surprisingly, the players could only correctly identify the bots about 60% of the time, which is just a bit better than chance. But interestingly, experts who are familiar with LLMs, like Francois Chollet, say they can easily spot an AI. They know how to take the AI out of its comfort zone by giving it slightly different scenarios than it's used to. Then the AI tends to respond with words it's seen before in its training data, rather than genuinely understanding the new situation. What's even more fascinating is that some researchers don't really like the idea of using this kind of test. Gillette thinks it's all about trying to deceive people, and he's not a fan of that. The test seems to encourage AI developers to focus on tricks rather than creating AI with practical and interesting abilities. You know, the Turing test has its share of critics. Some researchers prefer specific benchmarks tailored to assess AI's ability in particular domains, such as language skills or mathematical problem solving. When GPT-4 was launched, OpenAI thoroughly evaluated its capabilities using both machine-specific benchmarks and human exams. The results were impressive, as GPT-4 performed well on these tests. However, there's an ongoing debate about the validity of these test results. Melanie Mitchell raises a crucial point, suggesting that the models might have encountered similar questions before and are merely recalling answers, a phenomenon known as contamination. While OpenAI attempted to address this concern, some experts believe they might not have gone far enough. Nevertheless, Sam Bauman, a scientist from New York University, argues that even if some answers are based on memory, it doesn't diminish GPT-4's skills significantly. He says, quote, "Contamination complicates the claims a little bit, but I don't think it really changes the big picture that much," end quote. On the other hand, Melanie Mitchell points out that these models can sometimes falter when a question is slightly rephrased, indicating a limitation in their understanding. This distinction is crucial because interpreting high test scores for AI models differs from how we interpret them for humans. Mitchell illustrates this by taking an example where Chat GPT passed a question given to master's students in business administration. However, when the same question was slightly rephrased, Chat GPT flunked it. It highlights a deeper problem in interpreting what the benchmarks truly signify. For humans, high scores across these exams would typically indicate general intelligence, implying the ability to perform well across various tasks and adapt to different contexts. This broader concept of intelligence includes grasping abstract concepts and performing well on different cognitive tests. However, this does not necessarily hold true for LLMs, as Mitchell points out. LLMs work differently from people and might not exhibit the same kind of generalized intelligence. As a result, extrapolating results for humans might not always apply to AI systems. This difference in understanding might be because LLMs learn solely from language and lack embodied experience in the physical world, including connections to objects, properties, and feelings. This contrasts with humans who have a deeper understanding of language's context and meaning. As Lake suggests, LLMs demonstrate fluent language abilities without genuine understanding. Did you know that in 2019, Gillette came up with a fascinating logic test for AI systems called the Abstraction and Reasoning Corpus, or ARC? It's all about patterns and changing grids of squares, and Gillette believes it's a great way to assess AI's ability to adapt to new challenges, a crucial aspect of intelligence. ARC provides insight into human intelligence by allowing us to make abstractions from everyday knowledge and apply them to new, unseen problems. Gillette organized a competition in 2020 for AI bots to take on ARC. The winner bot was specifically trained to do these tasks, but it only managed to get 21% of them correct, while humans usually score around 80%. Now, there's a new variation called Concept ARC, developed by Mitchell and her team. It's similar to ARC, but with some tweaks. The puzzles are a bit easier and designed to detect even small improvements in AI smarts. They focus on specific concepts like sameness and create puzzles based on those concepts to ensure AI truly understands them. When GPT-4 faced Concept ARC, it scored way lower than humans. Humans scored an average of 91 in all concept groups, while GPT-4 only got 33% in one group and less than 30% in others. Even bots from the previous ARC competition did better than GPT-4, although not as well as humans. However, Bauman believes that GPT-4's struggles aren't the full story. He points out that the Concept ARC is a visual test, not GPT-4's strong suit. Plus, humans just looked at these images, while GPT-4 had to work with arrays of numbers representing the images. There's a new version of GPT-4 that can process images, but it's not yet available. The experts all agree that finding the best way to test AI for abstract reasoning and intelligence is still a puzzle to solve. Frank thinks that there won't be a single test to replace the Turing test. Instead, they'll need many different tests to measure AI strengths and weaknesses. In summary, While AI systems like GPT-4 might be capable of passing the Turing test, they still cannot think or comprehend like humans. Researchers are actively seeking better tests to gauge their true capabilities. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating updates just like this. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.